Fort Worden was constructed between 1898 and 1920. It was named after Navy Rear Admiral John Worden, who had been the commander of the USS Monitor during the Battle of the Monitor and Merrimack in the Civil War. The fort was a strategic location in the defense of the Puget Sound. Fort Worden, Fort Flagler, and Fort Casey were built at the entrance of the Puget Sound using their artillery to create a triangle of fire. The forts were to protect the Puget Sound Navy shipyard and of course the cities of Seattle, Tacoma, and Everett. The fort was activated in 1902. We'll go over to the place where the artillery was, but there had been 16 artillery pieces placed there. During World War I, soldiers trained at the fort prior to being sent to the European battlefields. After World War I, staffing was reduced to 50 officers and 900 enlisted men. The fort was used for training during World War II and also used for training during the Korean War. The fort closed as an Army base in 1953. In 1973, the fort became part of the Washington State Parks and Recreation. We've actually had some movies filmed here. An Officer and a Gentleman was filmed at the fort in 1982. There were other movies, The Ring, Fort Patrick, New Year's End, The Kane Mutiny Court Martial, that was a TV movie. So here it is. These houses here over on the side were actually the officers' houses. And then we'll take you over to the cement fortress. We are here at the fort. It's a little windy, sorry about the wind noise. But we're right at the edge of the water, so that makes sense. It'd be windy here. I'm going to turn you around and we'll show you the old place. Nothing left but ruins here now. But at one point, this protected the Puget Sound from enemy boats. Nothing could get into the Puget Sound. Can you imagine all the cement that had to be poured to form this thing? And a lot of this was made in the late 1800s. I'm just amazed at the amount of cement that's up here. Especially since some of this was built in the late 1800s. How did they even get that up here? A lot of workers. A whole lot of workers. I believe this is where the ammunition was stored. They bring it up.
Look down here, you can see down here, there's a great big room.
There were tracks up here, and that's what would move the bombs for the 12-inch cannons. Here the tracks are still up on the ceiling, and that's what would move those shells over to the cannons. There's quite a shell herself. Oh no, it's not Shell, it's Karen. The armaments would get hoisted up these holes to the top. They could move them over to the cannons. Here's where the shells would come up from down below. Come up here, and they'd move them over there. More of the elevators to bring the shells up. This was actually a placement for one of the, was it 10 or 12-inch? 12-inch cannons would be located in here, and it could lift up above there and shoot out to where the sound is. This was another cannon placement. You see that round thing, that circle? It would run around on that, not run around, but move around on that, and again would raise up and shoot over the wall. This is what it looked like back in the day. Another gun emplacement would have been here. Would raise up and shoot over the wall. And when we'll get up there, we'll show you what's over on the other side of the wall. So there was a gun placement there and a gun placement there. The cannons would be pointed out in that direction. This is that other gun emplacement we showed you when we were down there.
These had to be big
It would raise
guns.
up and it would shoot anything out of the water there.
None of the vegetation.
By the end of World War II, right before the war ended, they took the guns out of here and shipped them off to France. They needed them. We're thinking this was probably the lookout tower. They could look out here. That vegetation wasn't there. Without that vegetation, you could see all over the bay. Probably a telescope on this thing. They would get the readings, the longitude and latitude of whatever the ship was, call it down to the guns, and away those shells would fly. To load and aim and fire the gun required a crew of 51 men. Each gun and its carriage weighed more than 300 tons and can fire a half-ton armor-piercing projectile almost 8 miles. The gun commander yells, "Number 1, fire!" The gun pointer pulls the magneto lever. There is a blinking flash of flame, then a deafening roar and jar. The gun settles back into its first position while the projectile goes hurling out through the air. 10, 15, 20, 25 seconds pass. And way out in the straits, right up close to the target, a cloud of water rises. A fit.